Did you know that carbonara is one of the least made pasta dishes at home? I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing because this is the #1 request I get from people when I ask them, what do you want me to cook for them? So today, we're making good old carbonara. I'm gonna go through all the ingredients. I'll show you a new little tool I have to separate the egg yolks from the egg whites, and I'll be making this for lunch today. So I've got the water boiling. That's the first thing I cook because this does take at least 10 minutes. Got the bacon going, starting to render all that fat. This takes a while because you want to do this on a low heat, or at least that's the way I do it. Normally when you're making carbonara, you use pancetta, I believe, but not as accessible, and almost everybody has bacon, or at least probably eats bacon more regularly. It's a nice substitute. Italians, Europeans, you'll have to forgive me. It is slightly a different flavor profile because of the smokiness of the bacon, but as I mentioned before, if you want to make carbonara, almost everyone has Parmesan, eggs, and bacon in the fridge, at least here in America, versus having pancetta, which is not as common here in the States. So the other ingredients, I've already showed you the bacon. I separated the bacon meat pieces from the fatty pieces. I'll probably use this for something else. And then I like to have green onions. I separate the white parts from the green tips because the white parts I will cook with the bacon a little bit later, and the green parts I just use as a garnish at the end. So this is grated Parmesan cheese. I just like the convenience of it because I use a food processor to do it. And last but not least, probably the most important ingredient, eggs. So I'm going to show you this new little tool that I got at Daiso and see if it works to separate the egg whites from the egg yolks. All right, so this is an egg white separator because you don't use all the egg whites for carbonara. It's mostly yolk. And I'm going to be saving the egg whites for making whiskey sours later. This is literally the first time I've used this, so let's see how it does. Wow, actually that works pretty good. There we go, and then put it in here. I do about 2 egg yolks, 1 egg white per person. So I've got, oh no, shiz. That's a huge fail. Let's see if I can get that out. I'm just gonna put it all in here. Now I learned my lesson. I need to be a little bit more gentle with it. So I need the egg whites anyways. So I'm doing probably 3 full servings. So then I'll put 1 whole one in here. With the other 3 egg yolks, I'll try to separate it a little more carefully. All right, so if you bought this from Daiso, just know that it's not perfect. Let's see if I can be a little bit more gentle this time. Gotta be kind of quick. The problem is, it literally cuts it a little bit. There we go. Normally I just do this with the actual eggshells itself. Ah! All right, this, even though it's cheap, it's also not really reliable, so fail. Okay, so I did turn up the heat of this bacon. You really want to get this till it's nice and crispy, because once you start adding the pasta water and the egg mixture, this is going to soften. So if it's on the crispier side, not burnt side, crispier side, it's gonna be a lot better. So I've turned up the heat a little bit. I've got 1 more minute for the pasta. It's getting really crispy, which is good. There's still some soft, fatty parts, which I definitely want to cook out. And all this extra bacon fat is totally okay. So this is about 90% there. Add some of my white parts of the green onion. This is not very traditional, but why not get some in there? I do like the flavor. So one thing to always be mindful of when doing carbonara is salt. There's salt, or there's a saltiness to the bacon. If you're using pancetta, it's definitely very salty. I'm only gonna add a little bit because this is not as salty. And also you have to be mindful of the salt in the pasta water itself. I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper. Pasta's done. Be very careful. Notice I put the spaghetti right into the pan. I really want to get that spaghetti finished off in that bacon grease. Very important. You're going to add more pasta water into this dish. Hence why you got to be careful with that salt, because there's salt inside of this pasta water. And then if you add the heat on high, it's going to really help to bind the fats of the bacon with that pasta water. And then just let it do its thing. Now, if you have the heat on high and do this right, it shouldn't stick. It's sticking a little bit because I wasn't agitating it enough. I'm gonna go ahead and start flipping this. I have not made the egg mixture yet, but that's okay, because what happens is there's a lot of residual heat inside of this frying pan, and you don't want it too hot when you add that egg mixture, or else it's gonna scramble. And you're gonna get a texture that isn't creamy. So this is just about there. Turning off the heat now. Adding one more scoop of pasta water. Now to finish off the egg mixture. Okay, so all I'm doing is adding some of this Parmesan in here. I just eyeball it. You can put more or less. Then you're gonna add some pepper. I just use chopsticks. I like the control of chopsticks. I'm just mixing it. I don't add all the Parmesan at once. I let some of that Parmesan dissolve a little bit or melt and just get hydrated. A little bit more Parmesan. Some more black pepper. The key is to use a lot of black pepper. You want it to really come through. There shouldn't be any clumps. The egg white is liquefied. This is what you're looking for right there. So this is where you're gonna have to really just eyeball it and get used to your pan. As I was making that egg mixture, finishing it, this pan has definitely cooled down, but I can tell it's still very, very hot. And it's happened to me even after making this so many times, where I add the eggs too early, it scrambles the eggs. Literally, it'll get clumpy, and that's not what you're looking for. I did add that ladle of pasta water in there, and it's already evaporated or soaked into the spaghetti. So one thing you can do, just for the sake of time, is I'm gonna move this into a bowl. When I first started making carbonara, this is what I would do to counteract the overheating of the egg sauce. I would put it into a bowl like this. And the reason I stopped doing it was I just didn't want to wash another dish. But I really want this carbonara to be perfect for the girls. Now, you're not gonna risk this egg mixture cooking. There we go. Oh yeah, baby. I'm gonna hold off on adding all of it just in case. And then right here, just mix. This is not necessarily a guaranteed way, because if you put this in while the pasta is still blazing hot and there's some oil and pasta water, it will cook even in this bowl, but it's been sitting long enough where now we're good to go. Hey girls, come down for lunch. Just top it off here. Looks so good, but I'm gonna try it here in a second. Make sure it actually is good. Oh my gosh, just needs more Parmesan.
The other ones look like water.
Well, go get a fork.
Need more cheese.
More cheese?
Yeah.
Well, you can definitely have more cheese. But how's the flavor?
Good.
How's the moisture?
Good.
More?
More, please.
You can really mix it in there. Yeah. Come here, grab your carbonara, it's ready.
Hey.
Tell me how it is.
Great.
Honest opinion.
It's everything I hoped it would be.
Okay,
and
go
more.
ahead. Bring it to the table. Come here.
think this is the best. I do fettuccine is so good.
How is it?
Thank you, Daddy. Good.
Is it thumbs up? All right, good.
Perfect.